And we will get started. So chapter 13, the law of victory. And obviously this chapter, the opposite could be called the law of quitting. So that's truly the total opposite of victory is quitting. And obviously that is not our goal. So victorious leaders, they put in lots and lots and lots of work. Lots of it is behind the scenes and people have no idea what goes on. I saw it's a picture that a friend that I have that's in a totally different network marketing company. She shared it before and now I've seen her share it again and I want to share it myself, but it's her sitting in this chair and she's like, she's very, very high up in her company. And she's sitting in this luxurious chair and she's in this gorgeous gown. And it says, people want to be me. And then it says, until they find out how much work I have to put in. And then that's very true. I mean, people do want to be at the top then until they figure out how much work it's going to take. And then they're like, nah, never mind. I want the easy button. I want the lottery ticket. But definitely victorious leaders do put in lots of work and a majority of it is behind the scenes. There's lots of things that happen that people do not know about, that they do not see. But those good leaders do not brag about all the things that they're doing behind the scenes either. But it is what it is. And their whole goal is just to have a unified team that works. And that includes, having individual conversations with leaders on their team, even if that means it's the same conversation 8 times over with 8 different people. Everybody else doesn't know that, but the leader does know that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to take like 1,000 drinks tonight because I've got this really dry cough. So the results of a leader that goes to great lengths to be victorious is a cohesive business partners on her team or his team. So an example of would be, great athletes. There's obviously when you get to the professional level, those people have athletic talent. There is no doubt. But if they don't have a unified vision and a coach that's going to lead them, they're not going to win a national title. So and that can happen because some of those athletes are more worried about personal stats than worried about their team winning. Some of them are more worried about how many 3-point shots they can make or how many rebounds they can get in a year because they have me-itis. That's what I call it because I see it at the high school all the time. There's a lot of kids there that have no idea what it means to be part of a team. And that's what I always say that they have me-itis because it's all about me. Look at me. What is this team going to do for me? It's all about me. And that doesn't just go away when they graduate high school. Some 50-year-olds that way, that's for sure. So definitely having a unified vision and being the good coach is what can help those athletes to succeed and win that national title. And of course, when they don't win, the first person to go is the coach because the coach is not leading that team. So, we see that all the time. I think of Urban Meyer. So yes, he was a fantastic coach at Ohio State and he did do great things. But then, he had already left a very tumultuous relationship in Florida and then came to Ohio State and then tried to go back to the NFL. And, does he have talent on that team? Absolutely. They're NFL players. They are definitely talented, but his coaching had a lot to be desired. And guess what? He got fired within that first year. So it's definitely, they need a coach just as much as the athletes. And that's when you'll hear even Jules say that they still have coaches. Brianne admits that she still has a coach, and Emily Roberts, she admits that she still, or Emily Gibson, sorry, she admits that she still has a coach. So just because you are a diamond and you are coaching doesn't mean that you don't need coached. So they are all very willing to admit that they have coaches still as well. So it's a never-ending learning process as well for a coach. So not only do you have great athletes to lead, but you also need to be working on yourself and your leadership and your coaching skills too. So the 3 things that they talked about in this chapter, in order to have a victorious team: unity, diversity, and leadership. So with the unity, it doesn't happen spontaneously. Just all of a sudden your team isn't like going to be all united and it's all going to go the same way. It is definitely a work in progress. So the leader must provide motivation to do that, the empowerment, the vision, and it's definitely going to take time. And stink bug, sorry. Total squirrel moment there. So how can you do that? And you can do that like through trainings, for getting together at events, just getting to know your team. That is definitely a way to have some unity. And then you need to know what skills that you have and what skills they have and what skills the current team that you have lacks. And then those are the people that you should be looking for to add to your team. And we talked last week about the law of the buy-in, and that's definitely part of having unity, is having the law of the buy-in in place. Everybody needs to be rowing the same exact direction. There's no doubt. So then with diversity, we just talked about how everyone has their strengths, and so what do you bring to the table? And then what does so-and-so on your team bring? And then so-and-so and so-and-so. What does everybody bring to the table? And not everybody is motivated the same way. We've talked about that. Not everybody is at the same when you want to say they're all in, but that doesn't mean everybody is all in the same, if that makes sense. Everybody has different levels of all in. So not everybody is on that same spot either. Sorry. And not everybody is going to do everything the same as you. People do things differently. So there's definitely diversity on your team, but it takes that diversity to make your team run. And and the example that I had heard was, you can't have an NFL team full of quarterbacks. I mean, you have to have a line. You've got to have defensive players. Everybody can't be the quarterback or the game wouldn't exist. So, I mean, there has to be a role for everybody and somebody to fill every role, no doubt. So that is going to be one of the ways, or one of the spokes in the wheel of your law of victory, is having diversity on your team. So what are some different strengths of a Plexus team that could lead you to having diversity? Well, you got to have people that are connectors, those people that are willing to do the talking. You definitely have people that are willing to do call to actions. You need people that are organized. You need people that are willing to be hostesses, the hospitality people. You need the people that are analytical, the science people, the ones that ask questions, the ones that want all the information, people that want to have fun. You need the visionaries. You need the tech savvy people. You need those people that can do spreadsheets like Amanda Stover. You need the graphics people. You need people that are driven, the people that will, no excuse. There never is an excuse, always willing to do whatever it takes. People with communication skills. You need the encouragers, the cheerleaders. You need facilitators. You need people that are willing to teach. People that are rock stars at recruiting. You need those people on your team. You need people that are there, that are inspiring, that can cast vision. So all of those different things make up a team, and not one person has all of those things. No way, no how. So you bring something to the table, and someone else brings something, and someone else brings something, and together that is your team. So you add these people to your team, and then you unite, and then you take off. That is for sure. So every leader faces some type of a challenge, every single one of them. There is no leader in anything that has it all perfect and all wonderful. They all have challenges. They all face hurdles. But a coach can make all the difference between someone quitting and somebody pushing on. So I'd say, I think of Olympians, which it's a perfect time to make that reference because the Olympics have been on, the last couple of days. So those athletes are top notch. Most of those athletes have foregone their family and their education. I'm not saying they don't have an education, but they have foregone traditional education, maybe to say, in order to do their sport, because most athletes are young, most. So they have lived, being homeschooled and away from their families. A lot of them train in facilities that are not in their hometowns. So they have given up lots of things. I think of gymnasts, most of them go to Texas to train. Well, if you live in West Virginia and you're training in Texas, that means you've given up your family. You're probably in an apartment or in a, home away from home type situation down there. So people give up lots to be Olympic athletes. But every one of them, no matter how talented, how much God-given talent they have for their particular sport, they all have a coach. Every person at the Olympics has a coach. Nobody goes alone. They all have coaches. And that coach gives you an outside perspective. So if you're a swimmer, and when you're swimming your laps, your coach is literally watching you and saying, hey, when you're doing that lap, your right elbow, that's not right. You have to change that. It's got to go more to the side or whatever that is. And you don't know that as the athlete, but the coach can see it, correct it, and put you on the right path. So everybody needs a coach. So that's when I was thinking of the video that I asked you guys to watch is not the one I had in mind, but that's the first one I found when I Googled the one I was looking for. And I'm like, well, this really will tug at our heartstrings because everybody in this group is a mother. So I just thought, okay, so if you've ever watched the Special Olympics, if you are blind, you have somebody run with you, very similar to that cross country situation. But when you're in the Olympics, they have to wear a mask because they have to prove that they are 100% blind, not just, there's a difference in legally blind and 100% blind. So when they're at their Olympics, they have to wear a blindfold or a mask to prove that they're all on the same thing. And you are literally bound to your guide runner. So, and that guide runner is guiding them, but they can't they can't run unless that person is running. And if that person falls down, they're going to fall down. So that is where the coach comes in and literally guides them. And that is very similar to the situation that we find ourselves in as a coach. When somebody comes in underneath us, literally they're the blind one and we are bound to them. And if they fall, guess who's falling? You're like going down with them. So it is your job to help them, keep them from falling, because who wants to do that? And then to help them to continue to grow, whether that is going slow to head to the finish line or, just to stumble right back in, but to head down and to get to the finish line, to cross no matter what. But I knew that little analogy of the cross country runner would speak to all of our heart, because it's a very sweet sentiment that fourth grade child did, no doubt. So how do we do that with our people? By giving them systems, which is the tools and the resources. And that's been a definite hot topic here lately for all of us. I think that is something that we're all interested in working on. By giving them encouragement, everybody needs a hype man, no doubt. And by giving them feedback. And sometimes those are hard conversations, and sometimes they're easy. It's easy to give feedback. But ultimately, we have to remember this is a volunteer organization. Yes, we're getting paid, but we're also here voluntarily. Is Darren learning?
No, I have my AirPods in because it's chaos around here.
Oh, gotcha. I was gonna say, if you have anything I need to say, I can make sure I say that very loud. Just let me know. Type it in the chat what I need to speak to him about. So how dedicated are you? No matter what, are you determined to figure this out? Are you determined to make this go? Plexus is definitely a choice. And we just need to resolve that no matter what, we are here. And if we want to be a diamond, so Diamond Lisa, Diamond Amanda, or Diamond Bree, the only way we can all be diamond, and the only way to not be diamond is to quit. Other than that, everybody could be a diamond. There is no reason not to. So the law of victory looks like this. Leadership is responsible. Losing is unacceptable. Passion is unquenchable. Creativity is essential. Quitting is unthinkable. Commitment is unquestionable. And victory is inevitable. So that is the law of victory. Any questions on or comments on chapter 15? If not, we'll go to chapter 16. The law of the big mo, momentum. And that's definitely something that we talk about quite a bit. And we hear a lot about that in our particular business. Momentum can definitely move mountains. Even though, I really think I've been in this for a short time compared to a lot of people, but I swear momentum is something that I've literally heard about since the first time sharing. But when you grow fast, it is easy, but when you grow slow, it is very difficult. Momentum can definitely be a leader's best friend, no doubt. If there is no momentum, then the easy things feel impossible. But if there's lots of momentum, then those little troubles feel very small. And that can be something as simple as credit card declines, something that small. If you are in momentum, working through them things is a breeze. But if you are not having any momentum at all, even the credit card declines can feel like a mountain just getting those done. So, for being in momentum, that feeling is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's like, intoxicating. It's like Christmas. I mean, to be honest. So it definitely takes a leader to create the momentum. It doesn't mean that the leader is in charge of all the momentum, but your followers should be catching it for you. So momentum definitely starts from the leader. So just relaying your vision, relaying your passion, your excitement, your energy, your enthusiasm. Those are the things that create the momentum. So in other words, you just need to be contagious, just like the Rona. You guys need to be contagious. So if you are going to boldly share, then people cannot ignore you and they will want to join you. And you're going to hear no, we all know that. You're going to get ignored. We all know that too. There's no doubt. But you keep going because somebody does see you and eventually they do join you. So you just have to continue to be bold. If you want momentum, you have to start the momentum. You've got to model the work ethic. You have to model the attitude, and try to, I hate to use the word control, but steer clear of the things that will demotivate things, like negativity in chats, which I generally don't see that as a problem with something that we have. But make sure whatever you're going to add to the chat brings value. That's probably the best way. I know we have talked about that before. And just the same with team pages, although I don't really see negativity on any of our team pages either. But just make sure that they are adding value to that as well. And be mindful, like when you're doing things, just be mindful of the things that people excel at. And those would be the I hate to say jobs, but the things that you ask them to do. So, if somebody is very good at spreadsheets, that would be the job that you give them to do, instead of asking somebody that is not proficient at it. So you just make sure you realize what your people are proficient at, and then that is what they can contribute, even if it is things like on the team page, or, something for the chat, or something for an event, or whatever, things like that. So whenever you're talking about motivation, motivation is definitely an emotion, it's a feeling. And that getting, you definitely get motivated when you rank up. There's no doubt. But also just any type of progress at all, gaining points, that is definitely, a motivation. Whenever you get recognition, whether that's in chat or whatever that type of thing may be, that's definitely motivation too. Or even just personal results like on your supplements. I mean, that is definitely motivation too, to keep going. Just feeling better, that's definitely motivation as well. So, but you're definitely going to run across demotivators as well, which would be, some roadblocks. And it doesn't mean you are definitely going to experience this in the next month, but sometime within your journey, you definitely experience some demotivators as well. Comparison, we all tend to do that at some point in time. We compare ourselves to other people that are not on the same journey we are, but we see their results or their path or whatever, and we want that as well. So comparison is a very, very motivation stealer. That's a good way to put that. Another roadblock is when you do not acknowledge any wins that you have for yourself. So even the little things, even if it's self, development. So always be willing to look for some things that you have improved yourself in the last month or whatever. So don't, just because your points may not show that you were, even though you were motivated and you think your points don't reflect that, maybe you should always remember to find it in another smaller way. And don't have unrealistic expectations of yourself either. If the last 6 months you've averaged enrolling 5 a month, then don't set a goal of 150 this month. That's just unrealistic. So, and then what happens when you don't do that? You get upset with yourself, even though up front that was an unrealistic goal. So just allow yourself to think realistically and show yourself some grace. So how can you help with motivating someone? And sometimes that's as easy as normalizing the struggle. Everybody that is on this, call this evening has struggled. Every one of us. Nobody has had an easy ride. That is for sure. So normalizing the roller coaster sometimes is the easiest way to put that you have been on. Some could be the best motivator that somebody needs. So maybe reach out to somebody that you see that's struggling and say, hey, here you go with feel, felt, found, just for a different reason. I see what you're going through and I have been there. I have totally felt those feelings. And here's what I found that helped me. So it's liquor. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, we have truly been there. There is not one person in the square that has not struggled, not one. So just, allowing others to know that you have not had a perfect journey is truly sometimes all the motivation that somebody needs to not quit and to stick with it. So, and one other thing to help keep motivation is to just keep people plugged into whatever that is, whether that's calls or to the, things on the team page by adding in, things that keep them learning and inspired that way too. Or just even through Messenger, keeping people, motivated that way, sending a link and it doesn't have to be, of something to watch, a video to watch that's about a self-development. It could be a song, something that spoke to your heart, and it made you think of somebody else. So that's just others, a way to help keep people motivated. Anyone have anything to add for this chapter? No. Okay. Well, we have 2 weeks left. Next week will be another 2 chapters. And then the last week is 3 chapters because that'll wrap that up. So 2 more weeks and this will be all done. I'm going to stop.